Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frankie Olivo. Our program focuses on the very important issues that are affecting our local community. We have shed light on injustices, and we have allowed for our platform, this mic, to be that of the voice of the people. If this is something that you can see yourself supporting, we ask that you like, comment, and share this live feed. Now, as of late, our Facebook page is at risk of being taken down. The powers that be do not want you, the voter, to know the truth. But remember, fam, we will not be silenced. If you're really about the cause and you really want to stand up to corruption and you want to hold our elected leaders accountable, well, make sure you subscribe to our social media platforms. You could subscribe to both Frankie Olivo on Facebook, and you can subscribe to our YouTube page, which is titled Frankie Olivo TV. Remember, Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. religiously, rain or shine. So make sure you subscribe to Frankie Olivo TV on YouTube to always tune in case we go dark. Remember, Brownsville, I will never, ever ask you for money, and I will never, ever ask you for food. Well, depends what you're making. All I ask of my community is to subscribe to our pages. That is all, fam. That is all. And as always, thank you so much, Brownsville, for your time and your attention. Best believe that it means the world to me. Thank you so much. How we doing, chat? How we doing? Happy Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. Man, when I told y'all that I was going to be busy for the summer, I told y'all. We have a lot of material, and the material just keeps on coming in, and things that we post, we've been, it's been vetted. It goes back a few weeks, and people are like, well, why are you doing this? I'm like, well, trust me, if I'm posting this, is because the whole Roca thing is kind of mind-boggling. You would think that if there was concerns in regards to someone that watches over children, that monitors children, that's around children, and they are consuming illicit substances, you would think that that organization would be a little bit more inclined to look into the matter instead of targeting a person. Again, the concept of the nonprofit of Roca and all these dance folkloric organizations is great. The concept is great. The people that run it is a wholly different thing. It's like if you were to go and tell my mom, you know what, Frankie's going through this, or Frankie needs help, or Frankie needs this, Frankie needs that. My mom's probably going to be, you know what, that doesn't sound like Frankie, but thank you so much for your concern. And you know what, I will be sure to look into this. And if there's something that, that needs to be done, best believe it'll be corrected. But, thank you. My mom's going to be, no, Frankie's perfect and you're an idiot. No, that's the way reasonable people respond. You know what? We weren't aware of this, but everybody's aware of it. Anyways, so that's kind of mind-boggling. And again, the information just keeps on coming in. It's like, geez. When I want to come out, they bring me back in. So that's very important. Another key topic that has been going on as of late has been the ICE raids, risky business. We have a story. It's just that this whole BISD thing is kind of like just taking over. There's so much material there, but we'll be addressing that this week, if not next week, for sure. Risky business. So hey, stay tuned and subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, today I wanted to focus on what BISD, why some board members are inclined to favor TEA to take over the school district. I want for us to really dissect this issue, because I want to stress to the community that this isn't what's best for the district. So today, I want to shed light on other districts that have seen TEA take over, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. The school district finds itself in a very peculiar spot, at a crossroads, so to speak, that every action moving forward is going to be put under a microscope. If the board members aren't able to come up with an appointee, best believe TEA will come in and take over. Today's program is titled What the School District Would Look Like If TEA Steps In and Takes Control of the Brownsville Independent School District. And that is how we will start today's show. Thank you for tuning in, Brownsville.
Second time, 6 months later, a Brownsville school board seat remains empty. For the second time, it was on the BISD agenda, and for the second time, no action was taken. The seat was left vacant in January by the death of board member Erasmo Castro. In March, the board reviewed applications for the position and discussed holding an election. None of the candidates were chosen, and the board was given 180 days to fill that seat. Now the district and parents are left waiting again.
I know TEA is watching. People are watching. We are the largest employer south of San Antonio, and we cannot get this seat filled.
The board plans to come back on June 24th to try to fill that seat. A statement from the Brownsville ISD board president, Daniela Valdez, says, "My hope is to find consensus and appoint a qualified individual who shares the district goals. If the board can't find someone to fill that seat, TEA will step in."
To start off, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind the community of what we're facing. We have a deadlock at the school district. Individuals haven't been able to come to a consensus in regards to this BISD appointment. And it's very alarming whenever we come to the 11th hour of when this issue should have been dealt with a long time ago. When we talk about how we feel, and we've been talking about that this has been manipulated from the get-go. We have some board members that have preferred an election. You have Carlos Elizondo on the record that stated, well, May isn't enough time. I want to give the candidate ample time to prepare. Again, this is a democracy. I want to start off by talking about what we're dealing with as a school district. It is chaos. TEA does not like to see a 3-3 deadlock. They like to have a 4-3, a 5-2. They like to keep the ball rolling. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of important issues are at stake at the district. Remember, correct me if I'm wrong, we have yet to balance the budget. Taxes, the tax money that's coming in August, September, that is still up for debate. We have the bond of whether the school district is going to go out for a $300 million bond. A lot is at stake. And when TEA sees according to Reba Cardenas McNair, a dysfunctional board, they do not look at that lightly. It's important for us to recognize and stress nobody's budging. We have heard of the individuals that have been up for discussion. Why didn't the board members set a special call board meeting in March, in April, in May? Why is it in June? Well, they did in March, but you see, there was no, well, they could have said, well, it was a 3-3 lock. Yes, but at least the intent is there to show, hey, we're trying. Because the powers that be, we made a startling revelation, so to speak, that there was an agreement between Carlos Elizondo and Daniela Lopez Valdez to appoint a Martin Sarkis. Daniela was going to favor Carlos and give him whatever he wanted. We reported that, and things changed very quickly. Now, it's important for us to recognize who is going to be interviewed for this position. We have heard from the likes of the Brownsville Herald and Juan Montoya. The Brownsville Herald stated that that Farley Trevino, that Carlos's faction was heavily favoring Carlos, Fardy Trevino to be the candidate to fill Erasmo Castro's seat. According to the Herald, Juan Montoya stated that Miguel Sarkis was Carlos's chosen. And Roman Perez, which we didn't even report about it. Our source didn't even talk to us about him. We found out later through Juan Montoya that he's going to get, his name came up. Is he going to get interviewed? Also, we heard of Nelda Rocha, who is favorable to Carlos' side, and Victor Caballero. Victor Caballero was Frank Ortiz's appointment, who out of left field was like, oh, well, let's nominate, let's interview Victor Caballero, who didn't apply, mind you. Blanca Perez was selected from Ms. Denise Garza, if I'm not mistaken, was nominated. She did apply. I believe she's going to be interviewed as well. And we have 4 potential outsiders, 4 people that did not apply for this position. Daniela Lopez Valdez nominated a doctor, a small business owner, and a parent, according to various sources. And they will also be interviewed. Why? Why are we changing the dynamics of the game? Because again, we had 25 people apply. You're telling me that in that list of 25 applicants, there is not one individual that is worthy of the spot? And again, I know several people that did apply. You mean to tell me that John Shergold is not worthy to handle this position? You mean to tell me that David Willis, 2 very competent and prominent attorneys? That just goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, that these individuals, they had it from the get-go that they're going to appoint their own. Half or a third, probably half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals. 5 of those individuals did not even apply for this position, and they're being considered. Why? Why didn't they hold an election if this was going to be the case? So again, the school board is seeing, I apologize, TEA is seeing all this, ladies and gentlemen, and guess what? They're not liking it. A lot is at stake. A lot is at stake moving forward. One thing that I do want to stress is that Carlos Elizondo has lost his platform, which was Jasmarie Reyes. Many people are astounded by the information that I received of the behind closed doors segment on Friday. Could I tell you a secret and you won't tell? It's only us. You ready? Carlos Elizondo does not have a platform. Before, Jasmarie Reyes was posting like crazy. If you recall, Maggie also was tagged. Don't you find it funny that now Maggie is answering all of BISD's questions, all of BISD's concerns? Why is that? Because Carlos is feeding her information. Look at somebody showed me a meme that Maggie posted on Denise Garza. Who created that? Carlos. Carlos does not have a platform anymore where he can dish stuff out. Again, Carlos throws the rock and hides the hand. So now, Carlos doesn't have a platform. He can't spew out his hate. He can't tell the message behind closed doors. So what is he doing? He's talking. And he talks a lot. He needs to get it out of his system. That is how Frankie Olivo knows about everything that's going on. Because of Carlos and his people. His people are so dumb. I've told them, yeah, ira. What do they do? They're worse than, forgive me, ladies, I hold you in a very high regard. son peor que viejas? I say that with all due respect, ladies. So, hey, I'll gladly take this information because Carlos's inner circle is compromised. They know that Carlos is not good for the district. They know that Carlos is not good for the city. And what does Carlos Elizondo do? He yaps and yaps and yaps and yaps and yaps. It is my belief that these individuals, again, Carlos only wants Farley or Martin, and that's it. How can we infer that? Because Frank Ortiz and Minera Peña did not nominate someone when their attorneys asked them. Each board member has 3 nominations. The only one that submitted a nominee was Carlos Elizondo, and that only nominee was Martin Sarkis. So we can infer that these individuals, they can't think on their own. They do as they're told. Frank Ortiz, biggest disappointment. He's a scarecrow. He doesn't have a brain. He needs to look to Carlos. So Carlos is dead set. I'm either going to get Farley or Martin or nada. Unless there's a deal being made right now. Again, everything changes, ladies and gentlemen. Everything changes quick. Very quick. It is my understanding that Carlos is aferrado with Farley or with Martin. If he doesn't get that, let TEA come in. Daniela Lopez Valdez, she wants one of her 3 to be nominated. Again, it's a power struggle. Who's going to bend? Who's going to fold? If I'm not mistaken, Roman Perez is the only person on this list that was nominated by 2, possibly 3 board members. Correct me if I'm wrong to my various sources. So a lot is at stake moving forward. Why do we have a third half of the applicants that are being people that are being interviewed not even part of the application process? It just sends a bad vibe. There wasn't qualified individuals. Now, why am I saying this? Because, again, TA is seeing all of this, and they're not liking what they see. They're saying, this isn't for us. Again, TA usually comes in whenever there is academic failure, a systematic failure. But when one of the biggest school districts, south of San Antonio, with $500 million budget, is a stalemate, there's no action. There's key matters that don't pass, such as the superintendent's contract, such as the board attorney, O'Hanlon, their contract wasn't renewed in July of 2025 because it was a 3-3 lock. We have no CFO. We have an interim. The superintendent's on the chopping block. TA is seeing all of this. But we decided to talk today about what would happen. What would the school district look like moving forward if TA were to come in? Because we have heard of people that have stated, pues let them come in. It's bad as it is. It's bad as it is right now. Again, we reported that there was a deal, that there was some arrangement of Ruben Cortez possibly being in the TA commissioner's ear, Morath's ear, to where he was going to be appointed the monitor. And my 2 sources said, man, this is not good. Eventually, they're going to give Carlos whatever he wants. They're going to place their people in key spots. Somebody mentioned to me that Ruben Cortez's wife, who's a principal at Stillman, Iturria, I'm not sure if she was moved, that she was at the board meeting. Why would she be at the board meeting? I did see principals, but that was at the workshop. So, again, a lot of things are happening at a very rapid pace. And many individuals are questioning and saying, hey, well, maybe it's a good thing for TA to come in. Maybe this is what the school district needs. This is not what we need. We're going to give examples of how if TA comes in, good riddance. But we've given, us as a community, BISD as an entity, has given TA every reason to step in. Look at all the stuff that's been happening. We've been in a deficit, but of course, money is coming in. It seems as if we're struggling to stay afloat. We had a former trustee that was arrested, charged with bribery, with accepting $10,000. So what would it look like, ladies and gentlemen? What would it look like for TA to step in and take over the district? Well, let's talk about that, fam.
Houston Public Schools are about to be taken over by the state. Governor Greg Abbott says an entire generation of students have been left behind because of the school board's policies. Larry Siebert here with the 3 things you need to know. Larry?
HISD will have a new board and superintendent, both reporting directly to Texas's Commissioner of Education. And he plans to pick people from the HISD community that he feels committed to serve students. Now, the district status dropped a level to accredited warned, meaning HISD is one step from probation or losing accreditation altogether. That would mean lost funding, colleges not recognizing HISD diplomas, which affects who moves in, who moves out, and potentially property values. Now, the reason for all of this, HISD's school board. Investigators found board members made decisions outside public meetings, acted individually, tried to tamper with contracts. There are also complaints that members broke Texas open meeting rules. But it's the way the board handled Wheatley High School that triggered the state's response. For 7 straight years, its academic accountability got an F. That's the state's lowest ranking. Despite orders to show improvement, the state's education chief saw none and moved to take over. Now, the current board meets tomorrow afternoon. They have 2 weeks to ask for a review. Larry Seward, KHOU 11 News.
Again, it's interesting to learn what happened at Houston ISD. And one thing that I want to stress, ladies and gentlemen, is that this happened back in 2019. We just got word that TEA will be having an extension controlling Houston ISD. So you're talking about almost a decade that this happens. But the interesting thing that we learned from this was that TEA takes over based on several different reasons. There has to be reasons for them to take over. One of them that relates to us is having a 3-3 lock and also the Texas Open Meetings Act. Many people are questioning why the board went into executive session to discuss the qualifications of the candidates. We understand that board members, they do have a duty obligation to ask legal questions, but once those questions were answered, they should have opened up the doors to the public to have listened. Because again, this isn't personnel that they're appointing. This isn't an employee that they're appointing. This is a board member. And we as taxpayers, we have skin in the game. The board member is on another level than a regular BISD employee. Again, we've talked about the dysfunctions of the school board. TA does not like that. And what happens? Well, Houston obviously is dealing with something so big that they're not ready to give the community back the opportunity. And when we think about TEA, ladies and gentlemen, TEA is like the last resort for underperforming schools. Now, the school district did have a B- on the latest ratings. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the reason why that the school board moved in 2019 to Houston ISD, which will be there for 8 years, possibly longer, was because of misconduct by school board trustees, influencing contracts, low grades. Maybe that's why, ladies and gentlemen, maybe that's why a big stink about Rivera is not being made. Because imagine, again, we reported that that's a scandal. If you think it's just one coach and one student, no, it's multiple. But BISD does a great thing of hiding the bodies, hiding the bodies. Again, I made a report. There was, I went live on Facebook after school board member Carlos Elizondo threatened my life in intermission in an open forum. What was done about it? Nothing. What's going to be done to Cindy Elizondo that knew about the student-teacher relationship because that was her friend's son? Nothing. It's like at BISD you get promoted. Good job. You broke the law. You did something wrong. Good job. Good job. Obedea is going to stay at Hannah, at Rivera. Where is Cindy going to go? Is she going to veterans? Has she packed her things already? Is she ready to move out? So TA is monitoring this. So maybe that's why everything is under wraps. Obedea is going to stay at Rivera. He knew what was going on. He had no control over that school, and they're still going to keep him there. TA will take over, and they will cause us to be scrambling. Again, we just showed you how the TA took over Houston ISD, and also here probably it hits more close to home. La Joya ISD was recently taken over by TA. And what happened? They removed the school board. Again, there's several options. Whenever TA comes in, there's like levels depending on how bad it is, okay? So how would the school district look moving forward? It depends on how they see the severity of things. The first level of TA, ladies and gentlemen, is they send a monitor. Kind of like when they called you to, hey, your son's misbehaving. Can you come sit in? Somebody's going to go be in, they're doing this, or doing this, or doing this. All right, let me go report. That's the first level. Second level, I believe, is a conservator. They start opening up the books. They start saying, okay, all right, this is the problem at hand. This is how we're going to address it. Level 3, what Houston and bring it on the screen and La Joya have is a complete takeover of everything from the top. You're talking about superintendent. Goodbye. You think the superintendent wants that? No. The board members are removed. Individuals are going to have to apply. Or if not, the TA themselves will appoint a board of managers. The community, the former board members or the current board members, they're powerless. They can't do anything. And again, Daniela Lopez Valdez has talked about how they want local control. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want local control? Because again, people are going to start breathing down your neck. We don't want that as a school district. We don't need that as a school district. So La Joya ISD right now, we're starting to see that they're powerless. They have no control of anything, of nothing moving forward. Is this what we want? We did see in today's video to start off the show that TVA did talk about this, and I believe BEST has as well. Teachers unions serve an important purpose in the lives of staff for the district. They pay a fee in order for them to be part of an organization that's going to help you in regards to litigation, in regards to any matters that you have as an employee. I haven't heard from AOBE as of late. I don't know if it's summer, it's vacation. I did see them present at the last meeting, but they didn't speak. You would think that this appointment is of the utmost importance moving forward. But are they doing what they did in this past previous election, where they're putting all their faith in Carlos Elizondo and on his candidates and saying, oh, well, Carlos will do it for us? I don't know, something to think about, something to talk about. It's alarming whenever you don't have a teachers union, an organization to address the board and say, hey, this is what we expect from your next appointee. Or, hey, are y'all aware that TEA is looking at the district, such as Alegría and TVA did? Or is there an understanding from them that, oh, well, if TA comes in, but no, it's not a good thing for TA to come in, ladies and gentlemen. It's not. I hope I have teachers, counselors, parents here watching. I know I do. We got good numbers. We always have good numbers. Thank you, Brownsville. But it's alarming whenever we have the likes of Carlos Elizondo's faction of saying, oh, well, Farley, Martin, if not TA, oh, well. Why? Because, again, it's a Republican administration. Carlos is favorable with the Republicans. Would they appoint someone such as the likes of, I don't know, Susan Rubalcaba? Would they appoint someone such as the likes of Deborah Jobless Bell? Maybe. You think they're going to appoint a Democrat? I don't know. I don't think the Republicans in Austin do what the Republicans in Cameron County do, where they support and endorse and pay for Democrat campaigns. Again, I could be wrong. Politics is a strange fellow, and you sleep and you lay in bed with strange fellows. This is very serious. If TEA takes over, it's going to affect a lot of people, primarily teachers and counselors. Teachers and counselors right now, at the way it stands, they're just a number. Job security is something that is very, very important to all of us. We need to make sure that we have a job moving forward to be able to provide for our household. What if I told you, to the teachers, to the counselors, to the nurses, what if I told you that you could be out of a job? The way the school district has been practicing its governance, the way the school district has been practicing its finances as of late, isn't a good sign. There are people that are requesting an audit, especially from COVID and possibly beyond. They want to open up the books. You have another faction that doesn't want to open up the books when a forensic audit, correct me if I'm wrong, hasn't been done in the district in over, I dare say, 10 years. You want to know what TEA is going to do if they come? They're going to do that audit. they're going to open up those books. Are they going to find something in there? Is something going to pop up, Patricia Hernandez? Is something big going to come up that everything is so quiet? Possibly. But again, teachers, you best be worried moving forward. You best call your board members. You have their numbers. You can find them on the BISD website. Email them, call them, be like, hey, come to a consensus. It is in all of our best interest for you to agree on a nominee. We do not want TA to come and take over. Why is Frankie saying this? Because of the likes of what's been happening at La Joya. Houston is a very unique district. It's huge. It's a monster. La Joya is something similar. It has 20-some thousand students. We're at 30-some, but being the Valley, it's something very similar. Corruption issues, mismanagement, not being fiscally responsible, not being transparent. So teachers, reach out to your board members. Let them know, hey, we don't want TA to come in. Why? Is it just because Frankie said so? No, because of what we've seen from La Joya. If you don't believe me, make sure you follow. Make sure you follow the truth tellers of RGV on Facebook. My friends, let them know that I sent you. They follow and monitor everything that has been going on with the board of managers, with the superintendent. And what have we seen from La Joya? The super is gone. The CFO is gone. The finance people are gone. There is an audit being conducted. Teachers are being let go like crazy. There's so many crazy jobs out there that they're creating for their friends. Well, maybe it'd be a good thing then. All that's going to go away. All of that is going away, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to put BISD books under their microscope. What else, ladies and gentlemen? What else is going to happen? Remember last year when there was a big deal when BISD was in the process? Remember during that time when they're in the process of consolidating elementaries because of declining enrollment? Remember that? It was recent, possibly a year ago around this time, May or June of 2024. What do we remember from that? The public was outraged. The public was, what do you mean? What do you mean you're going to close Cromac, Garza, Del Castillo? What do you mean? What do you mean they're going to be merged into one? You remember the uproar? Remember the sadness where parents took their students to the school board and they were crying and they were, some were livid. What do you mean? You know how much history Cromac has? It's rich in history, but they closed it down. Why? Because we don't have the numbers. Rivera is losing students at a rapid pace. You know where they're going? To Robindale. Idea. Is it Robindale? I think it's Robindale. The Idea school right next to Rivera, right in the close proximity of Rivera. This scandal is going to get worse. BISD is trying to keep it hush-hush. We're going to lose. Rivera is going to have less than 300 students, 200, 400 students. Remember what it was like when they closed down the schools, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't pleasant. People were upset. Teachers lost their jobs. Volunteers lost their positions. Clerks, nurses, counselors. We have no room for you. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. What do you want me to do? It's very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, whenever we have the consolidation of schools, because again, what is the district facing? Low enrollment numbers. It's no secret that the charter schools are eating our lunch. literally and figuratively. They're taking our students by the boatloads, by the hundreds, if not thousands. This Rivera scandal is only gonna help facilitate that even more. Individuals were upset once we reported that Cindy Lizondo, a counselor at Rivera who did not report of the student-teacher relationship, is now being moved to veterans, according to our sources, various sources that we confirmed with. People are saying, whoa, she didn't report of the student-teacher relationship at Rivera. Now she's being moved with Norma Jean, who used to be the principal at Rivera at one time, who this student-teacher relationship goes back 20 years with Farley, according to a witness, according to a victim. And now they're tag teaming to be together. Parents are like, thank you for letting us know. We're going to blow this up in our group chats. If TA comes in, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to consolidate schools. They're going to close schools. People, teachers, counselors, nurses will be out of a job. Why? Because the goal is to address the declining enrollment numbers. They want to merge schools. It's all a numbers game to them. And what happened? BISD held meetings and they spoke about this and they spoke about that. Rosas makes an interesting point. BISD, Rosas, was a monster with 52 operating educational facilities at one point. 52 at one point. It cost the district $1 million a day. At one point, I think that has declined severely. At one point, Rosas, it cost the district $1 million to operate across the board all the properties, food, everything, insurance, everything. In a month, it cost the district $30 million a month, operational cost, overhead. Now, Rosas, the powerhouse of the Valley, the powerhouse of South Texas, how the mighty have fallen and is crumbling brick by brick by brick. The school district, if TA comes in, will be focusing on ensuring a smooth transition for students to move into new schools. Why? Because they're trying to save costs. They're trying to reduce the number of staff and administrative positions. Administrative positions are expensive, if you haven't realized that already. Is this what you want, ladies and gentlemen? Because apparently, this is what Carlos is willing to do. Carlos is willing to bet it on the line and say, screw it. I'm not getting Martin. I'm not getting Farley. I don't need. I'll roll the dice. Let TA come in. TA will not be nice. TA does not have a heart. TA to teachers, nurses, counselors, paraprofessionals, assistants, maintenance. They're going to cut and cut and cut jobs across the board. To them, you're just a number. No personal feelings attached. I don't want to scare you, but hey, talk to your board members. Let them know, hey, we want for you to appoint somebody. Who should they appoint? Someone on the list. Someone on the list. And according to our sources, if we go back to those individuals that were on the list, bring me up. According to this list that we're referring to, pick somebody from there. Come to a consensus. Show the community that you're willing to work together for the betterment of the district. We do not want it to go into TA's hands. People are saying, yes, TA, yes, TA. No, TA. TA will cut jobs like crazy. You're talking superintendent, finances, CFO, all of the glass palace is gone. The school board is gone. Teachers, nurses, counselors, gone. Schools will be closed, consolidated. Do we want to go over this again? Teachers, employees, staff members? The only individuals. It's business. It's a business decision. And again, I agree with Rafa. I don't think there's going to be a consensus because Carlos is going to make sure that Frank and Minerva do not vote any other way except for his. John Shergold would be a great candidate. I believe he withdrew his name after all this mess that's been going on. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Shergold. Again, I think you're more than worthy. But John Shergold probably saw it, was like, oh my goodness, these people. The only individuals, ladies and gentlemen, again, it is my prediction, and I will go on the record for it, that Carlos is only going to pick Farley or Martin Sarkis. That's it. And Minerva Peña and Frank Ortiz, they're instructed, only these people. Again, why? Because they didn't nominate nobody. They have Victor Caballero because, oh, well, Frank thought, oh, well, I guess I'll give it to Frank. You know, he didn't apply, and I guess. It is my opinion that there will not be a consensus. Carlos will only want Farley, only want Martin. Daniela will only want her girls. Well, I apologize. Will only want her nominations, which are the doctor, the small business owner, realtor, attorney, and the parent. So it is my belief, ladies and gentlemen, that there will not be a consensus. The individuals that should be considered seriously, is Roman Perez, Farley Treviño, Neo de Rocha, and Blanca Elizondo. Those 4 people should be the only 4 that are considered. Why? Because they're the only ones that applied. Heck, Farley didn't even complete the damn thing right. I don't know if he didn't complete the resume or didn't complete the application. He would fail. He'd get a D or an F in college at the university. But again, this BISD. This message is to the teachers, to the counselors, to the nurses. Contact your teachers' organizations. Contact BEST, TVA, AOBE. Let them know. Are you okay with TA coming in? I've showed you. I've showed you that they cut cost because to them, it's nothing personal. To them, it's just business. And they're going to cut jobs like crazy. They're going to cut schools like crazy. Why? Because of our declining enrollment numbers. It's not self-sustainable no more. My message to all the BISD staff and employees, call your board members. Let's see if I can get their numbers. BISD school board members. Call them, email them. Let them know, are you happy with this? If you are, hey, great. Again, my job isn't to convince you. My job is to give you just the information. What you do with it, that's up to you. Again, are you okay with TA coming in and cutting jobs, consolidating schools? If you are, God bless you. If you're not, this is the link of your board members at BISD. Let them know what you think. If you can't appear on the 24th and speak in open comments, teachers are scared. That's why we want the teachers' organizations to make more of a fuss. There are some teachers that are like, you know what? Hey, this is my livelihood. I'm going to talk. I'm going to be vocal. There's some that don't. Teachers are scared. I hope they're informed because Good Morning Brownsville has been reaching the ears of many people. Thank you, Brownsville. But they're scared of talking out. But this is a matter of us losing everything moving forward. Retaliation, bullying is real. You best get in line. If not, we'll make you get in line. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot is at stake moving forward for the district. We do not have a CFO. We do not have a school board member. We have been at a 3-3 lock for months now. Governance has not been able to perform. Why? Because of this 3-3 lock. TA does not like that. That's dysfunction in one of the biggest school districts south of San Antonio, south of Houston. Are you okay with TA coming in, cutting jobs, consolidating schools? May you be out of a job if that happens. Let's prevent that from happening. Call your school board members, email your school board members, contact your teachers unions. Let them know we do not want this. Have them vote for Roman, for Farley, for Nelda, or for Blanca. Those are the only 4 that should be considered. I'll even throw John Shergill's name out there and David Willis. Those are the only people that should be considered based on what y'all, the parameters and the game that y'all set through. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and your attention. Best believe we'll keep on coming on to you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Make sure you subscribe to Frank Olivo TV. We'll continue to provide you with the good, the bad, and the ugly, the black and the white. We'll stay away from the gray area because we want you, the voter, to decide on how you feel in that certain matter. My job isn't to convince you, ladies and gentlemen. My job is just to give you the information. What you do with it, that's totally up to you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Frank Olivo, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. Peace! No outro music. No elevator music for the outro. Just vibes. Happy Tuesday, fam. Have a good one. Happy Tuesday. I know I will.